You will hear about the African Union. Yes, it exists. But what is the effect of the African Union in reality?
The African Union exists, but what real influence does it have? Let's take a look at a moment in Burkina Faso that could reshape the conversation. It was a peaceful morning in Ouagadougou, the capital city of Burkina Faso. President IBRAHIM Traoré sat at his desk, reviewing an ambitious plan aimed at sparking a wave of technological innovation across the country. The goal? To empower young Burkinabés to design homegrown solutions to global challenges. But as promising as the vision was, it faced serious hurdles, limited technology and scarce funding. As Traoré focused on the documents, his assistant entered, looking both nervous and excited. "Mr. President," she said carefully, "an urgent message just arrived. For you, from Elon Musk." Traoré looked up, surprised. "Elon Musk? Are you sure?" "Yes, sir. It's a personal video message." Intrigued, he clicked the link. The screen lit up with Musk's familiar face, but his tone was more serious than usual. "I've been watching your work in Burkina Faso," Musk began. "Your dedication to innovation and independence is truly inspiring. I want to support your vision." Musk went on to announce a donation of cutting-edge clean energy technologies to help drive Traoré's programs forward. He also promised to send experts to train the country's young scientists and engineers, and expressed his desire to visit Burkina Faso in person to explore more ways to collaborate. Traoré sat in silence for a moment, absorbing the unexpected offer. This wasn't just a gift of equipment. It was an invitation to be seen and heard on the world stage. He soon recorded a response. "Mr. Musk, your offer is generous, but I want to make sure that our partnership is built on respect and shared benefit for our people, not just publicity. We're not asking for charity, we're building a future together." His words carried weight. This was about more than technology. It was about pride, dignity, and self-determination. His video spread quickly across social media, resonating with people both within and beyond Burkina Faso. It signaled a new approach to development, one where African nations take the lead as equal partners. Musk was deeply moved by Traoré's honesty and strength. He sent another message, this time with even more clarity. "You're absolutely right, President Traoré. This isn't just a donation, it's a real collaboration. I'm eager to learn from you and your people." Soon, the online world erupted with hashtags like Mayawi or Innovate Africa and Musk Traoré Partnership, highlighting Africa's rising role in the tech world. Across Burkina Faso, young innovators and engineers found new motivation. One of them, a young man named Issa, had been developing a solar-powered irrigation system. In a local interview, he shared, "I used to think my ideas were too small to matter, but now I believe they can change lives. Thank you, President Traoré. Thank you, Mr. Musk." Riding this wave of inspiration, Traoré announced a new phase of his innovation program. It would not only install advanced technologies, but train the youth to build, manage, and improve those systems themselves. In a press conference, he declared, "We want our young people to become the builders of our tomorrow, not just users of imported ideas, but creators of their own." His words echoed throughout the media, receiving praise for their clarity and courage. Journalists around the world highlighted how he had turned a personal moment into a national movement, proving that leadership rooted in principle could change the narrative for an entire continent. As Musk's visit to Burkina Faso drew near, excitement surged. When his private jet finally landed in Ouagadougou, thousands turned out to welcome him. Children wore t-shirts featuring both leaders. Scientists, farmers, students, and ordinary citizens gathered in joy. Musk, casually dressed and clearly touched by the welcome, was greeted by Traoré with a strong handshake and a warm smile. "Welcome to Burkina Faso," the president said. "Your visit is more than symbolic. It brings hope to our people." Musk replied, "Mr. President, the honor is mine. What you're doing here is remarkable. I had to see it for myself." The two leaders rode in a modest van to the presidential palace, skipping luxury in favor of sincerity. As they passed through the streets, Musk looked out with admiration. "It's beautiful," he said. "I knew this place was special, but seeing it up close is something else." At the palace, a special ceremony marked the official start of the partnership. But this was not just a formal event. It was a moment that reflected something far bigger. The world beginning to recognize Africa not for its challenges, but for its strength, vision, and untapped potential. As the ceremony ended, Traoré and Musk stood before a crowd of young innovators, engineers, educators, and entrepreneurs. The atmosphere was electric. This was more than a diplomatic moment. It was a turning point in how Africa's voice would be heard in global conversations about the future. During a panel discussion at the National Innovation Center, Musk and Traoré answered questions from local students. One girl asked, "What advice do you have for young Africans who want to create the next big invention?" Musk smiled and said, "Start with the problems around you. That's what I did. You don't need a perfect lab. You need curiosity, creativity, and persistence. The world needs your ideas." Traoré followed up, "Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone else to bring the solution. We have the minds, the heart, and now the tools." The event was broadcast live across the continent. Viewers from Nigeria to Kenya, Ghana to Rwanda, tuned in to watch a conversation that felt personal and empowering. Suddenly, what was happening in Burkina Faso didn't feel far away. It felt like it could happen anywhere in Africa. Governments from neighboring countries started expressing interest in joining similar partnerships. International media dubbed the initiative the Ouagadougou model, a new approach to development rooted in collaboration, not dependency. Back in Burkina Faso, change began to take root fast. Young people began forming innovation hubs in schools and universities. Local radio stations started airing programs about clean energy, coding, and entrepreneurship. Women-led startups began to emerge in sectors like agriculture, water tech, and education. One such startup, led by a young woman named Fatoumata, used solar energy to power cold storage units for rural farmers, reducing food waste and increasing income. "I never thought I could be a tech entrepreneur," she said in an interview. "Now I'm not just building a business, I'm helping entire communities." Meanwhile, Musk's engineers worked side by side with local technicians, not just installing solar panels or energy systems, but helping design curriculum and certification programs that could be run independently in the future. It wasn't about importing knowledge, it was about growing it together. Months later, Traoré stood before the African Union Summit. This time, he wasn't just delivering a speech, he was offering a blueprint. He spoke clearly. Africa doesn't need handouts. We need fair partnerships. We need access to tools, yes, but even more, we need respect. We are not the world's project, we are its partners. His words received a standing ovation. International investors started taking notice too, not just of the opportunity to do business, but of a new generation of African thinkers reshaping the global tech landscape. Elon Musk, reflecting on his visit during an international conference, said, "What I saw in Burkina Faso changed me. We often talk about helping the world, but we forget how much the world can teach us in return. Africa is not behind. In many ways, it's ahead, because it's innovating out of necessity, with heart and vision." As the world watched, the partnership between Musk and Traoré became a symbol, not of Western intervention, but of global cooperation done right. And for millions of young Africans, it was proof that the future wasn't something happening elsewhere. It was happening here. It was happening now. Over the next year, the effects of the Burkina Faso-Musk collaboration began to radiate beyond the country's borders. What began as a single message and a bold response turned into a continental shift in mindset. Regional conferences across West Africa started inviting young African inventors, researchers, and climate tech entrepreneurs to speak, not just as guests, but as leaders. People were no longer waiting for outside experts to show up. They were becoming the experts themselves. Burkina Faso, once rarely mentioned in global tech circles, became a hotspot of interest for innovation networks, university exchanges, and investment forums. Delegations from South Korea, Brazil, and the UAE visited Ouagadougou to explore partnerships, not out of charity, but to learn from the homegrown strategies being implemented there. IBRAHIM Traoore established the African Future Forum, an annual summit designed to bring together leaders from across the continent, along with global thinkers, to develop African-led solutions to climate change, food security, education, and artificial intelligence. In the opening speech of the first forum, Traoré addressed a packed room. Too often, we've been told to follow models that were never made for us. But now we are creating our own paths, ones that speak our languages, solve our problems, and reflect our values. Let this forum be the birthplace of ideas that change the world, not just Africa.